Hi, this is Mariah Gullo from The Hollywood Reporter, and I'm in studio today with Andie MacDowell.
Hi there.
Hi, thank you so much for coming.
So happy to be here.
Right off the bat, your new movie is called Love After Love.
Mm-hmm.
It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Really natural. It's stunning.
Yeah, I'm so glad you liked it. I feel like
did.
that too. I really liked this movie. Russ had a very creative idea, really did his homework, and it's like a piece of art. It really truly is beautiful. And I'm surrounded by so many great actors. It was a very creative experience. The process was amazing to participate in.
Was there a lot of improv?
There was improv. The script was gorgeous, so it wasn't like he wanted it to have that real feeling of conversation and richness that is in the movie. And also the dialogue that he wrote for me I really liked it because my character, I think she comes across as super intelligent. Yeah. And I loved the way it was written. I liked what I said. I always thought it was kind of offbeat and interesting. But at the same time, I managed to come up with some good improv that's in the movie. Like that whole first scene is all improv.
First scene is amazing.
Yeah, the first scene's
really
great.
It's the bell the bell that brings you in. You see that first scene and you're like, okay, I'm going to get a blanket and I'm going to settle into these people's lives. You have a really interesting chemistry with with Chris O'Dowd, who plays your son.
Yes.
It's really sparky.
Yeah.
It's a very sparky chemistry.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how that came about?
How that happened? Well, it was intentional that these two characters had no boundaries, emotional boundaries. Mm-hmm. It's not that we had any kind of a sexual attraction to each other at all, but it kind of, questionable as to what our relationship was.
Right.
It was more than mother and son.
Right.
It was, I'm too much in his life and he's too much in my life to be healthy. So it was there, but then Chris really got on my nerves.
He did.
He did. Chris is a very strong alpha man. He's a very strong alpha man. And I am somewhat of an alpha woman. Mm-hmm. And I think actually that's kind of what those characters were, too.
Yeah.
Chris more or less set the tone for how we would get the scenes together, how we would rehearse a scene. And I had a hard time with it because his process is extremely slow and very meticulous, and I really enjoy experimenting. Just like, let's go, let's do this. I had that kind of like, I just want to do it so bad, and I had to let go of that. I had to eventually. He won. He was going to win. I was not going to be alpha. I was not about to be alpha, and so I think a lot of that energy ended up in it. It just kind of helped with these characters that I was having these feelings. So it all worked.
I mean, that's a real family dynamic.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Okay, guys, you could see my bra. But I really liked the interview, so all I'm going to do, if you don't mind, is take 2 seconds to put this jacket on. Now you cannot see the bra. Okay, relief. Well, here we go.
I mean, let's talk a little bit about that because this is a role where you are a little more undressed than you usually are.
Yes, and I don't want anybody to get too excited about the nudity because I have to say that Dree and Chris's scenes are super hot. They are super hot. Mine are very vulnerable. They're not. There is an interesting way that nudity was very important to us. Mm-hmm. There's the nudity with my husband as he's dying. It's because it's the human body. It's almost like we're revealing our souls to people. Mm-hmm. My nudity is nothing to get too excited about. It's really just a mature woman. It's a way of seeing her pain as well. And it is truly revealing her soul, and also being with a man, and what that feels like after her husband is gone, and finally learning to enjoy being with a man. So the nudity was very important, and I had not done it in the past. This really called for it. It's not gratuitous. It's not at all unnecessary. It's very necessary.
I mean, it plays into the role of Suzanne, that she is like a stunningly beautiful woman.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. Thank you so much. I'm pretty hard on myself.
It plays into the character, because her and and her son are the same kind of person. Somebody who's very shiny and very sexual and very outgoing, and needs an anchor in their life of somebody who who's the father figure that they lost.
We lost our anchor. That is for sure. And I think that he provided a certain stability to these very creative people. I think that we are probably I was always probably this person that just like kept him excited, because you never knew what it was. He was grounding. And the kids too were like that. And when he was gone, we were adrift for a while. We had to learn how to ground ourselves.
Yeah.
And that was a process.
Yeah. What is it like to play that very natural family role? Like you've already spoken a little bit about your relationship with Chris and how you had to create this like dynamic with him. But what was it like to film these scenes, these like very subtle vignettes?
It was interesting, because that whole first scene, and Gareth Williams we got by accident, my husband, and I think he did such a brilliant job playing this character. He thought he was so good. But anyway, and James, everybody we got great actors. That first scene, I was kind of watching the camera. I couldn't help myself. And I kept thinking, they're not on me. It was like, because, there were just like bits and pieces. I could never tell. I'd be like doing really good stuff, right? But the camera's nowhere near me. It was like, man. So I kind of didn't know like what bit and piece for sure they got, because they had so many people to take care of, and there was a lot to do. I really liked what they got in the end, so I was pleased with what they got.
You want to have more roles like this, I assume.
Oh, I would give anything to have play more interesting characters like this. Yeah, I would love that. I really enjoy my job. I find it very fulfilling.
And in this past year, when you've seen the world take notice that the Hollywood needs to lead the way for diversity and for
I feel like
equality.
I wish it had happened sooner for me, because I really was tortured at 40. I had so many crazy interviews, and the funny thing is like when someone says to you, because they said it to all women, so now you're not going to work. How does that feel? It feels terrible. But at the same time, there was this little voice was like, don't whine. You don't want to be a complainer. You don't want, particularly, I would think this was the truth, because all the men are in control. I would think you don't want those men to not want you because they think you're a whiner. But this year has been so brilliant, not just for the Me Too, but Time's Up, I think is so relevant. It is past time for us to be treated with, just a little bit of respect. I mean, we've been so disrespected, and it's been okay. It is fascinating. I think power is very seductive. I think it must feel so good. They've been entitled for so long that they thought that this was really the way it's supposed to be. They thought they really did.
Right. When I think about that, I think about the 30s and the 40s when there were so many Hollywood actresses that were driving the box office.
Yes. Well, people say that. Yes. Yeah. And it is true. It is true. But they were still demeaned in certain ways at that point.
Absolutely. They absolutely were. But they were creating the box office draw that
they were.
People often say.
Yeah. Well, like this cuckoo thing. Like, how can they say that they'd be surprised that a female lead can have success in a movie that can draw people in? That's insane, but they have been saying that for a good while.
Right.
And we have always said, but what about in the 40s? What about in the 40s? We have said that, but in the 40s they did also always put them with 20 men 20 years older than them. And I have an issue with that too.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. Just let women do the same thing. I want to be seen as equally beautiful. And what happens is when you continue to put older men and younger women, you send the message that older men are still attractive. Psychologically, that's what goes on. That's what the world takes in. If we started doing the same, then women could finally have the same privilege to be seen as sexy.
Yes.
As they get older.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I would like to happen for my kids, because it also has been very painful for me to not feel that I am. Just because of my age, but yet my male counterparts are.
Right. Right.
And I'm sitting here going, but there's no difference between us. What's the difference? You have most of them have a lot more lines than me. Because they don't do anything to take care of themselves.
They don't wear sunblock.
Well, they don't have to. They don't have to. The more rugged and crinkly and messed up they get, the better we think they are. What's that about? You know? Well, we're supposed to stay looking like children.
It's going to take some time, but we will see a change in how people look at everyone once these movies become more realistic, more written through the perspective of women.
And also equal, socially equal. Right. It's going to take time.
And playing with different ideas.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen tomorrow because it's really hard to get people to change, especially when they're spoiled and they've had things their way for a long time. They're like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah. Are there any characters from your past movies that you would like to see revisited? Somebody who you think you could get a more in-depth look up at these days.
I'm not that crazy about, like, people always say, let's do Groundhog Day again. First of all, Bill Murray's never going to do it, so you can forget that. I know him, he's not doing it. But I would like to break the rules as far as, like, what's okay for women to do. I want to be as sexy as my male counterparts. That's really what I want to do. Yeah. Because it has been such an issue for me. I've been so completely frustrated with that whole way of thinking. I would like to play, and for not anytime a woman is with a younger man, they want to write it in that there's a reason for it, and that just gets me.
Yeah.
This really gets me, because what does that mean? You're superior to me because you're a man? That really frustrates me. So I'd like to see a lot more of that start to happen, because I want women to be able to get older and feel as beautiful as men. I want them to realize that we are human beings and we age just the same. They get pot bellies. They get stuff going on back here. They do, but we still think they're handsome.
Yeah.
And I want women to be able to do whatever happens to women. And for us to be seen as super sexy.
Yeah.
Till the end, just like they get to be.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
I look forward to new characters and new movies from you.
Oh, thank you, honey.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So, Love After Love is in theaters on March 30th. Thank you, guys.